This is the extended hand of humanity, the 21st century underground railroad for pro-democracy Americans seeking safe passage to the truth, as well as the assault on our democracy and those that pose it. I'm your conductor, Mike B. Welcome aboard. As Donald Trump ends his first month as president, his pace towards authoritarianism quickens as the wrecking ball to our government institutions break down long-held norms, democratic safeguards, and foreign alliances. Like a plague, he is destroying everything he comes in contact with. With massive government firings and the dismantling of government organizations and programs reaching deep into both blue states and red states, affecting thousands of Americans, many of them Trump supporters, the whispers of buyer's remorse from Trump supporters become more audible, and the cry, "I didn't vote for this," adds fuel to the FAFO memes that flood TikTok and overflow into YouTube, Instagram, and X. A sympathetic ear from those who warned of this is hard to find. Those who can only enjoy a brief moment of the ironic humor of it all, because even though they didn't vote for Trump and knew this was coming, it is affecting them as well. And they too must live with the choices those that are the source of the ironic humor made. With just 1 month in, Donald Trump's public approval rating has already started to tank. All national polls show that more Americans disapprove of Donald Trump and the job that he is doing than those who approve. And that is amongst Republicans as well. All presidents over the last 70 years when they were first elected have enjoyed what is referred to as the honeymoon period, a period of high approval ratings as the American people get to know them. When it comes to that which is negative, Donald Trump continues to be the first and break records. In the over 70 years of polling, no president has polled this low or has been this disliked this early into their election. And it's not just by a little bit, it's by a lot. It's safe to say that the overall feeling is one of buyer's remorse. As a whole, the country doesn't like him, the things that he's doing, or the people that he has put into place, all of whom, like him, have unfavorable ratings. And we know this because all the major polls tell the same story, even the ones that Trump often cites. Further proof of this is the large number of anti-Trump protests that are springing up throughout the country, in the north, south, east, and west. The goal of my first podcast was to ring the bell and sound the alarm, signaling the danger of where we were heading if all the signs were true, and to emphasize that there was no reason I found to believe they weren't. But we are way past that now. As I speak, the dismantling of our government, our way of life, has begun. The fight for the direction of our country, whether we are to remain a democracy or become an autocracy or worse. And if Donald Trump is going to be allowed to achieve his goal of being an authoritarian like those he admires most. Some might credibly argue that with the influence that the ultra-rich like Elon Musk has in the Trump administration, we are already more of an oligarchy than a democracy. To any of those still sitting on the fence or in denial, I urge that you educate yourself quickly, because whether you believe it or not, the train has left the station, and the seriousness and urgency of the situation that we find ourselves in is very real, and it won't go away by ignoring it. Like I've said before, it isn't necessary to take my word for it. All you have to do is take the time to make yourself aware of what is happening within our government, and you will see that there is no other conclusion to come to. He controls all 3 branches of the government. The main role of the Senate and the House is to write laws and policies and determine spending. The House has the power of the purse. But they have conceded that authority to Donald Trump by not pushing back on his use of unlawful executive orders. And if you need further proof, look no further than at the people that he has nominated to head the most important organizations in the government. Those whose only qualification is that they are willing to do whatever Donald Trump tells them to without question or pushback, who are all otherwise grossly unqualified and incompetent to perform the duties of the positions they were nominated for. Yet they all were confirmed by the Republican Senate. Republican senators who, if not for Trump, would not have confirmed any of them. But Elon Musk has promised to spend $100 million in the primary against any Republican who doesn't fall in line behind Donald Trump's agenda. So even the very few Republicans in the House and Senate that remain that aren't MAGA have capitulated and taken a knee, effectively dissolving their power and moving Donald Trump closer to the authoritarian rule that he so desires. To move him closer to the goal, those that he has put into position of power are getting rid of all voices and organizations of opposition, which means other than we the people, the only wall that stands between Donald Trump and unbridled power are the courts. And already we are starting to see cracks in the wall as he ignores the courts with his unlawful executive orders. Although there is reluctance by some to say it, we are at the beginning stage of a constitutional crisis. As I've pointed out in my previous podcast, if you control the media, you control the narrative. Right-wing news media supporting Donald Trump dominate the airways, and the mainstream news media continue to fail the American people. For whatever reason, when it comes to Donald Trump, they continue to refuse to call a lie, or to point out when something is not normal, or when there is no equivalency of what Trump has done compared to any other president, Republican or Democrat. Instead, they engage in false equivalency and continue to normalize him as well as the things that he does, things that are unprecedented and far from normal. It is not normal for an American president to try and shake down, disparage, or bully our European allies, or to align America on the side of a Nazi-sympathizing party within Germany over its current government. This is an affront to our German allies and everything America stands for. Donald Trump flat out lied when he accused the president of Ukraine of starting the war with Russia and of being a dictator, which sent a shockwave around the world because everyone knows, including Trump, that Russia invaded Ukraine under the leadership of its dictator, Putin. And Zelensky was duly elected by the people in his country in a fair election. This was a major story around the world, but barely mentioned by our mainstream news media. The best I can come up with for this behavior of our mainstream news media is that they appear to be handcuffed. And any of those that speak truth to power suddenly end up resigning, citing that they are moving on to pursue other opportunities, later to be found on podcasts that allow for a free press. There is a reason why lifelong politicians, Democrat, Republican, and Independent, as well as historians, constitutional scholars, former military chiefs of staff, and 3- and 4-star generals have begun to speak out. Because not only is the threat to our democracy real, it is being dismantled right now in real time. As more and more Americans each day come to understand the danger Trump poses, grassroots anti-Trump protests are springing up organically throughout the country as thousands are being affected by mass government layoffs that have nothing to do with government waste, fraud, and abuse. The protests are growing larger and louder as people take to the street to have their voices heard. Getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse is not a partisan issue. This is something that both major parties have struggled with for years. The purpose of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is not to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. It is to allow Elon Musk and Donald Trump to continue to fleece and rob the American people. If it was, they would have started with the Defense Department, the military-industrial complex, which has failed its last 8 audits and accounts for a huge portion of the U.S. budget. But why would Elon Musk look for waste, fraud, and abuse in an organization that pays him billions of dollars in government contracts? You don't have to be a genius to know you're not going to get a favorable outcome using a fox to guard your chickens. Instead, Musk decided to go after organizations like USAID, an organization that funds projects in some 120 countries aimed at fighting epidemics, educating children, providing clean water, and supporting other areas of development. If you look at the organizations that DOGE is targeting, it is pretty clear that he is attempting a reverse Robin Hood and stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. There's a long road ahead, but in the end, I have a feeling that it won't be the courts that will save America. It will be we, the people. There's an R&B song from the 1970s by a group called Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes with the lead singer Teddy Pendergrass that I feel is appropriate for where America is now. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war, and poverty. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. The world won't get no better. We got to change it. Yeah, just you and me. This is the extended hand of humanity, the 21st Century Underground Railroad for pro-democracy Americans seeking safe passage to the truth, as well as the assault on our democracy and those that pose it. I'm your conductor, Mike B. Follow this space.